If you're part of the YouTube language learning community, especially if you're trying to learn Spanish, French, or German, then you've probably heard of something called the Lingoda Super Sprint from YouTubers big and small. They tell you that you can get these really high quality courses that will definitely increase your level in one of those target languages. And the best part of all of that is that you can do it for absolutely free because they will refund 100% of your money if you win it. And that is true. Um, I mean, it was true when I did it. It's not true now though. I have in fact completed the Lingoda Super Sprint before. I am in fact one of those YouTubers who has made a video about it. In fact, it was the very first video that I ever posted to this channel. I did it twice actually. I did it once in 2020 para aprender español, and I did it again earlier this year or last year, depending on when you watch this video, pour apprendre le français. I actually recorded a bunch of the sessions that I had with them back in February and March because I was planning on making a video sometime in April or May about the huge change that they made to the Super Sprint, because unbeknownst to me, they changed it from a 90-day Super Sprint to a 60-day Super Sprint. But the ADHD got the better of me and I didn't make that video, which turned out to be a blessing because that video would have been obsolete by the time you're watching this one, as they have made another huge change in that they have taken the 100% refund that you used to get and slashed it all the way down to a 50% refund. So thanks to my executive dysfunction, I'm able to bring you this relevant video about whether or not I think the Lingoda Super Sprint is still worth it. That intro was kind of long, but I'm slowly becoming a video essayist. Video essayists tend to make longer videos, and by the way, this video is sponsored by me. I did it. I risked $900 of my own money 10 months ago to be able to make this video for you, which you will hopefully get value out of. And because of that, I invite you to join my Patreon if you want to and are able to try to help me at least break even on making these videos. You can get some bonus content there. You can occasionally get some bloopers, but mainly it's just to help support me to continue to be able to make this content for you. Liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing my content with everyone also helps me out a lot, and that is completely free if you are unable to join or just don't want to join or whatever. But please, if you can, consider joining my Patreon. Okay, I'm done shamelessly promoting myself. Let's get back to the video. A few weeks ago, I made a video about different sources you can use to help you learn a language, and I mentioned stuff like Link and italki and language transfer, and towards the end I mentioned Lingoda. Unlike those other sources, Lingoda is an actual language learning school. In order to teach for them, you have to have a teaching certificate as well as experience in teaching whichever one of the languages you want to teach. They have a curriculum featuring hundreds of different individual classes that span a wide variety of topics, and they're designed to help you develop your speaking, listening, reading, and writing abilities in your desired language. Completion of any of their units will earn you a CEFR certificate for that level, and you can use that for employment opportunities. You can use it to try to enroll in an academic program in a foreign country. You could even technically use it to try to immigrate someplace or possibly even get your permanent residency someplace. By the way, I'm not going to do a full breakdown and review of Lingoda. If you want that, check out the first video I made on the channel. Everything that I said in there is still true except for what I'm going to say around this time in this video. It is far more robust than a lot of the language learning sources that you will come across outside of going to an official language learning school or taking university courses, hence the price tag. Okay, it's not that extreme. There's actually 3 price tags. Business English is the most expensive at over $1,100. Then you have German, which is about $1,000, but if you're trying to learn regular English, Spanish, or French, then you can do that for just under $800. The price does tend to fluctuate though. For example, when I enrolled back in December of 2019, the cost was $792 for 90 classes over 90 days. When I enrolled in December of 2022, the cost was $855 for 60 classes over 60 days. That is quite a big difference in cost and the amount of classes. However, in both of those scenarios, I was still able to obtain a 100% refund. The current price of $778 for 60 classes over 60 days is a little less than what I paid 4 years ago. However, the refund that they're offering is a lot less than what they were offering 4 years ago. So like, is it still worth it? Check, check, chickity check, 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 check. I'm a YouTuber. I will change camera angles whenever I want. Aside from whatever your personal desire is to learn your target language, one of the biggest factors that will actually get you to your goal is consistency. Having to show up every single day for weeks on end is a lot of consistency. And it's a requirement if you want to get that refund back from Lingoda. And the quality of the classes that you're in is pretty great. You're basically in a 1 hour guided conversation every single day. One of my favorite French classes was this one about la mondialisation, which is globalization for those of you that don't speak French. And it basically turned into this hour-long conversation about anti-capitalism.
La extracción de ressources d'un pays sans,
Mhm.
sans payer les gens qui habitent dans ce pays, c'est autre
Ouais,
chose négative.
d'accord.
You kind of had to be there. And then the next day, you could be talking about your favorite dystopian novel, but putting yourself in a situation in which you have to rely on your skills with your target language is a good way to build your skills up really quickly. Lingoda also allows you to download all of the course material for every single level, regardless of whether or not you started out in the beginner levels or in the advanced levels. And you can take that material and review it yourself, or maybe even find somebody or hire somebody to review it with you. They also have online quizzes that you can take before the lessons to help you get yourself prepared, as well as after the lessons to help strengthen what you've just learned about. And I guess all of that is worth it, but like, there's also a few hoops. Qualifying for the refund can be a little bit stressful. It's not the most convoluted thing in the world, but there are a number of ways that you can be disqualified, and just about everyone who's done it has a story about how they almost lost their refund. So there's the straightforward stuff, like you have to be on time, you can't leave early, you actually have to participate in the class, and if you cancel a class within 7 days of its scheduled date, you also lose your refund. You can only take one class per calendar day, and if you accidentally schedule 2 classes on the same day and don't catch it within the window, your refund is gone. You also cannot change the time zone for the duration of the sprint, so if you're moving or doing a bit of traveling for work, pleasure, or an emergency, you have to be vigilant about what time it was when you enrolled. That last one has disqualified a lot of people because they happen to have been traveling and forgotten when they were supposed to take a class, or they tried to change their time zone and then got disqualified for doing so. So be vigilant. The one that gets most people is either missing a class or being more than 10 minutes late to a class for any reason other than something that is the fault of Lingoda. If there's some sort of a thunderstorm that knocks out your electricity or your internet service, or there's a family emergency or an accident happens to you, or anything that's beyond your control that wasn't Lingoda's fault, it doesn't matter. You don't get credit for that class and you lose your refund. When I was doing it, I would make sure that my internet was working half an hour before the sprint, and if it wasn't, I would just head to a coffee shop or something that had free Wi-Fi. I will say that proving that something went wrong on their side is relatively easy. There was once where their system wouldn't let me into my class, so I took a screen recording of what was happening and also showing them that my internet connection was fine, and they refunded me the credit the same day. Which brings me to how I almost lost my sprint. Per the rules, Lingoda says that the only class credits you can spend during the sprint are the ones that Lingoda gave you specifically for the sprint. If you happen to have a class credit from a different source, like say for example they refunded you a class credit for a class that didn't happen due to them, you cannot actually spend that credit until after the sprint is done. If you spend those credits before you're supposed to, that will void your refund, and I had at least 3 of them by the time my 90-day sprint was done, so it was a little bit difficult to keep track of when I could actually spend those credits. Alright, I'm gonna sit back down again. It would be ridiculous to compare the 90-day sprint that I did almost 4 years ago to the 60-day sprint that I did about 10 months ago. 90 is greater than 60. Of course, 90 classes for free is better than 60 classes for free, and of course it's going to put you further down the path to fluency than the 60-day sprint. What I will say about the difference between the two of them is that you really need to be at an upper beginner / lower intermediate level to really get something out of the 60-day sprint. The level of French I had was similar to the level of Spanish I had when I went into both of those sprints. I think maybe my Spanish was a little bit stronger, but I also understood Romance languages a lot better with French, so it's kind of a trade-off, and I started both of them at the A2 level. However, after 90 days, I felt really confident with my Spanish. I still was nowhere near fluent, but I just had a level of confidence with it that I did not have after 60 days worth of French. If I had started my French sprint with a B1.1 or even a solid A2.2, I would have been much more confident by the end of that 60 days. But instead, I spent a lot of classes on some basic stuff that I could have learned on my own outside of those classes. It's kind of weird criticizing something that I got for free, but I mean, you can't get it for free anymore. You got to pay at least $389 if you win your sprint. So, I mean, is it worth $389? What can you get for $389? You can get a 1-year subscription to one of my favorite language learning apps, Link, for just over $100. If you happen to be learning Spanish, you could pay for 1 year's worth of a premium subscription to Dreaming Spanish for $96. You could do both of those things and still have over $150 in your pocket. Those story learning courses that Ollie Richards is always peddling cost about $297 per course. You could get one of those and you'll still have under $100 in your pocket, but you could spend that on some language learning books or some online tutors or even a Netflix subscription so you can watch media from the countries where your target language is spoken. Babbel has online language learning courses now. From what I've heard, they're not quite as good as Lingoda, but you can get a 6-month subscription with unlimited classes for $360. And from what I just said about 2 months worth of time studying a language, 6 months is pretty good. italki is my favorite language learning platform. It's what got my Spanish to a high level, and I love the fact that you are directly supporting the person that is teaching you your target language. I met with different teachers and tutors from different Spanish-speaking countries every week for months on end, and let me tell you, finding some people that you really vibe with and meeting with them and chatting them up every single week for a few months is a great way to help build yourself up. $389 buys a lot of italki credits, and that can get you pretty far. Maybe even further than Lingoda. When I made my first video about the Lingoda Super Sprint, I said that you should only do it if you believe those classes are worth the full price of the sprint without the refund, because you might not get the refund. And I still believe that exact same thing. When I paid that $900 10 months ago, I believed that those classes were still worth that $900. Okay, I wrote this down. It would have cost me $8.80 per class if I would have had to have paid the full amount for my 90 classes 4 years ago, which is a pretty good value. If I would have had to have paid the full amount for the 60 classes that I took 10 months ago, that would have been $14.25, which is still a pretty good value. If you had to pay the full price for the 60 classes right now, that would work out to being about $12.97, which is still a really great value. And if you happen to get the refund, it works out to being $6.48 per class, which is a ridiculous value. The odds are extremely low that you will be able to find a certified teacher with years of teaching experience that would be willing to accept less than $15 an hour to teach you the same quality of class that Lingoda will. So yes, it is still worth it. There is a lot of value packed into that price, even though it's not free anymore. However, there are some decent competitors at that price point. Everyone learns differently, and for me, the most valuable thing that Lingoda had to offer wasn't the course material, it was being able to be in a conversation with somebody every single day about whatever random topic the course material was built around. The course material was great, but what got my Spanish to the next level was just chatting to people about whatever random new topic, not so much being focused on the grammar and whatever vocabulary that the unit was trying to introduce to me. Don't get me wrong, I would still do it, but if I'm going to have to pay either way, then I'll probably have a look at some other options first. Alright, that is the last video of the year, uploaded on the last day of the year, depending on your time zone. Anyways, y'all know what the deal is. Like, subscribe, comment, share. If you can and you're able to, help your boy out and subscribe to the Patreon. Anyway, I had a lot of fun making videos this year. Some of the most fun that I had was that banana video, making the video about the origins of high heels, about how we used to have everyone in dresses when they were kids up until they was about 6-year-old. Just like check the old videos and stuff out. My goal next year is to make more videos, more stuff like that where I fall into some rabbit hole and tell y'all about it. I'm still gonna make language language type of videos as well, because it's a subject that's near and dear to my heart. But those videos are super fun to make, and super fun to make stuff is what gets videos out to y'all. I'm also gonna try to collab with some more creators next year. Speaking of which, if you watch the YouTube channel, The Left Wing Podcast, I've been on a few different segments from them, so check those out. I'll leave a link in the description. I still got so many ideas bouncing around in my head right now, you don't even understand. I got stuff that I read before that I still want to make a video about, like stuff about Cuba and Fidel Castro. I got stuff that I want to make videos about that I'm reading right now, like I'm reading Collapsed Feminism by Alice Capel. She's a YouTuber. You probably, maybe, might have seen some of her content. I'm also going to be reading Extremely Online after I finish that. And I also want to make a video still about Viral Justice by Ruha Benjamin. So it's just like all this stuff that I want to get out to y'all. Hopefully y'all actually end up seeing all that stuff. I got some video responses to make and all that too. I'm excited. And yeah, I'm gonna try to push out more content. I'm gonna try to push out, I hate saying stuff like this because I end up dropping the ball, but I'm gonna try and not drop the ball this time, y'all, I swear. But yeah, I'm gonna try to put out, I don't know, like 20 videos next year, and have at least 10 of them be like some of those rabbit hole videos where, you know, I come at you with like a really strong, nice, cool little video essay, because I'm slowly becoming a video essayist. Anyways, thank y'all for sticking with me through the executive dysfunction and the ADHD and just being here. This is a super fun little outlet for me to get some of my creativity out to people who love it, who like it, who want to share it and all that. I appreciate y'all so much, and I will catch y'all on the next one. Ciao.